Our first guest is an author who's written a fascinating book about drag queens and the Miss America pageant. What do they have in common? Let's find out from Professor Laurie Green. Laurie Green, come into my basement.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, it's so good to hear you, hear and see you. So tell me about this book you wrote.
Well, the book is about a drag pageant that happens in Atlantic City and how it has co-evolved with the more famous sister, the Miss America Pageant here in Atlantic City since the 1930s. And the pageant itself started in the 1990s as a response to the AIDS epidemic.
Oh, how fascinating, fascinating. So tell me more about the drag pageant.
Well, the drag pageant started in a bar called Studio 6 in the Gayborhood in Atlantic City, which used to be a really hopping, vibrant neighborhood, 4 blocks of 15 to 20 bars, boarding houses, very condensed, where New Yorkers and people from Philly and even DC used to come down and party. Famous place. And all the local queens participated in it. The idea behind the pageant was that for some reason they missed the Miss America pageant. And it was always some contemporary reason. Like one year it was they went down on the Titanic, for example, when the Titanic came out. And there was always some reason. And so they had to have the pageant the next night because they missed it. And in the beginning, the winner was always somebody local. They got crowned with a Burger King crown and some dead flowers wrapped in old dirty newspaper. And it was a hoot, and they raised tens of thousands of dollars every year for one of the first AIDS activist organizations in the whole country called the South Jersey AIDS Alliance.
It was.
That was the beginning.
When AIDS came out, it was the drag queens who started raising the money for the causes, and so that looks like an early day one.
That's one of the first pageants, and in the gold there is the originator of the pageant, drag queen Sandy Beach, and so those are some of the as we call them, the original queens, and that's the stage. It was outside on the deck at Studio 6. Which is one of the 15 bars that was on that little street in Atlantic City.
Wow. So that's fascinating. So did you get any pushback from the Miss America people?
Well, that always happens. I mean, it's like, that sort of goes without saying. In fact, they weren't allowed. I'm so glad you asked that, because they weren't allowed to come to the pageant. And the thing that people don't understand is the Miss America pageant is a volunteer event. And the volunteers were all from Atlantic City. So this is one place on earth where they still love the Miss America pageant. And all of the people that work behind the scenes at Miss America, they came back every year, and they were all gay. The hairdressers, the costumers, the choreographers, all those backstage people. So they already hung out on New York Avenue. They would come to the show, but the contestants were banned. They weren't allowed by the pageant to come to the show. The first contestant that came was the contestant that in fact was from Brigantine, New Jersey originally, and also her platform was HIV/AIDS, and she broke the rules and came. And so but by and large, Miss America sort of dissed the pageant, and one of the big ways they dissed it in what I call straight washing is the most famous part of the pageant is called the Show Us Your Shoes parade. Ooh. And in that parade, it used to be that the contestants went down the boardwalk. It was very demure. There's a picture of the parade today, but they would be in their evening gowns in the back of convertibles, and it was very fancy with their white gloves. And the drag queens would sit out on the 2 hotels where they lived in the corner of New York Avenue and the boardwalk and scream down at them, reading them, "Show us your shoes," because they had socks on and slippers inside the car. And they were told, don't let them harass you, don't let them fluster you. And then one day somebody lifted their foot up and they were screaming, and the Miss America pageant gave in, but not before they trademarked the term and said, never acknowledged what the history of how the Show Us Your Shoes got started was.
Oh, so, my goodness.
Yeah, a great story, and one that most people in Atlantic City even don't know.
So what got you interested in writing this book?
Yeah, by the way, this picture is Snake Alley. This is called Snake Alley because it was a street that wound around and conjoined all of the different streets that were in the Gayborhood. But what I got involved is an interesting example of what an anthropologist does. we don't go into a research site with a question. We go in, we just, immerse ourselves. We call it embedded and embodied research. And then I happen to be working or volunteering at the pageant for my friend who was one of the producers. There I am. And I'm in drag also there. And what happened was the project presented itself to me. So you embed yourself and the research question presents itself. And this one hit me over the head like a sledgehammer. I just couldn't believe no one had seen the convergence of these two pageants coming together. And so that became my research project.
Wow. So you're an anthropologist.
Correct.
So where do you teach? What do you do with?
I do. I teach at Stockton University, which is in Atlantic City. Originally, we moved out. Now we're back. We have a campus back in the city right on the boardwalk. And I teach gender and the anthropology of embodiment, which means how you experience yourself in a body.
Oh, how fascinating. Is this your first book?
No, I have some books on yoga. You can see my pictures back here.
Oh, yeah.
A little sideline. And I also have a number of works on the use of language, which is also part of embodiment theory.
Well, how exciting. So Atlantic City, what's going on there? I know they tore down the last Trump casino recently.
Oh my God, was that a party? No, seriously. We had a big implosion party, and it was the middle of winter and the weather was crappy, but everybody was out on the beach cheering and drinking, which is pretty much what we do every day here. I love how when I say I'm from Atlantic City, people are like, oh, what's that like? And I say, it's fantastic. It's, who gets to be in a city on the beach? It's an actual city. We have amazing things that go on here. And it's probably the most resilient city on earth. Every time we collapse, people are like, oh, well, and they just stick to it and come back, and everyone's got a great sense of humor, and it's a wonderful place to live.
So what's the gay life now? You said there was all those bars in that couple blocks. Mm-hmm. I mean, everywhere in America, gay bars are closing, or have been closed. So what's going on with the gay life there in Atlantic City? Yeah,
we haven't been immune to that. And the gay bars on New York Avenue, pretty much disappeared as a result of a number of things. One of them being the casinos, wanted the land in order to expand, which they blew up all the blocks and they never did build there. But we still have a vibrant gay community. There are lots of bars, and the area there, which is now called the Orange Loop because it's the 3 orange properties on the board on a monopoly. Oh. So New York Avenue, Kentucky, and Tennessee, that whole area is being, built up again. And there's a lot of bars there that are gay friendly. And in fact, I bartend at one of them on the weekends in the summer.
Now you said gay friendly. I want to know where the gay bar is, not gay friendly.
There is literally no 100% gay bar. Our last gay bar, the Rainbow Room, closed down during COVID, or just before. Yeah, I think it was actually during COVID. But we're going to get another one. It's coming.
I hope so, because I miss a gay bar. Yes, I can walk this Friday night in Burlington, Vermont. I walked into 5-6 bars and hey, but I want to go to a gay bar.
I know. When people say to me, oh, younger people, they're like, we don't need gay bars. We can go anywhere we want. And I say, oh, you're right. They don't need black churches. They can go to any church they want. No,
not true. Like that.
It's a good one. Yeah. Because gay bars aren't just for drinking. That's the least of what they're there for. That's our space. That's where our political action happens. That's where we meet. It's like it is the hub of gay existence, and we need them.
I agree. I really feel sorry for tourists who come to town, especially in a town like Burlington. You always look. We used to have Dameron guides. I remember those. I go online and say, "Oh, this is the gay bar," and everything. But now it's gay friendly, We
have a lot of drag shows and tea dances and things like that. But yeah, we need a gay bar to come back, and there's noise about it. I think it's going to happen.
Good. So what's your next project?
My next project is actually on a story that continues off of New York Avenue about transgender drag queens. And I'm excited to start that as soon as the summer's over. But before that, I'm working on a special project for the Miss'd America Pageant that's happening this year, October 23rd.
Okay. Oh, I just had a conversation the other day about transgender drag queens and what my opinion is of that. So we'll have to talk sometime about that.
Yeah, lots of controversy inside and outside of the community.
Yes, it is. All right. So plug your book one more time, Laurie.
My book is Drag Queens and Beauty Queens. It's from Rutgers University Press, but you can get it anywhere. And if you do read it, make sure you let me know. Come give me some feedback. Let me know what you thought. It's made so anybody can read it. I try to write for the people that I study. And so I try to keep the jargon at a minimum. And if you've never read anthropology, you may be surprised how interesting ethnography is.
Oh, thank you so much. Fascinating.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, come back and we'll talk more when the pageant gets closer, or if you have something else to talk about.
Love to bring some of the girls on to talk about it.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
Let me know.
All right. One of the books, one of the quotes, Sherry Vine commented about your book. Had some great things to say about Sherry did. And it was 12 years ago this week that we met Sherry down in Albany. And it was a year ago this week she was on this show. And she's been on a couple other times since then. But
icon is all I'm going to say.
Icon.
Yes. Of the first daughter, bow before her. The fact that she took the time to read my book and endorse it was like, I just died that moment. I didn't have to live anymore, really.
I know what you're saying. Well, thank you very much, Professor. Nice talking to you, and come on back sometime.
Thanks so much.
Yes, bye-bye. Very fascinating. Great. I can't wait to read the book and talk to her again about some of her projects. Really, really cool to find out what's going on elsewhere.